of the hour. So you guys make yourself at home, get comfortable, get your favorite money map watching beverage. Okay, we're good. All right, we are set to jet. Um, we'll wait here just to the top of the hour. Patrick, you got everything you need? You think you're ready to go? Okay,
Yeah, I think
sweet.
so.
Amazing. Okay, it is 1 o'clock. I am Kevin, the head of community at Sequence. If I have not met you guys just yet, but I want to say thanks for taking a minute to sit in with us. I feel like I say this about every event that we do, but the one that we've been doing the longest that I am most excited about, and still to this day am most excited about, is our Money Map Spotlight series. And so the way that we sort of recruit these is we reach out to some folks who have been really helpful in the community and uh, have been really ambitious with what they put together in many cases, and ask them if they'd be open to sharing their money map. And so today, I'm really excited to be joined by Patrick Robinson. Patrick and I have actually met in person for a split second several months ago. He's located just north of San Antonio, a little bit south of where I am in Austin, Texas. And Patrick, you are a software consultant and obviously a busy dad. And can you tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I think I might be the classical version of or definition of the word nerd. I definitely I'm a software consultant, so I do a lot of stuff with I write code. I also help people write code better. It's probably what I do is a day job, but I also am a father of two that are. I have one that's the oldest is three, so I have two that are three and under. So uh, keeping me busy. And then I volunteer in my community and volunteer in my church. So uh, I try not to use the term busy, but there's not really a better term for it. That there's a lot going on, but yeah,
Well, I think you can make the case that with as many irons as you have in different proverbial fires, there's no time like the present to start automating.
oh
So
yeah,
yeah, so with that said, let me just throw out a quick housekeeping note and then I'll hand things over to you. So if you have a question for Patrick, if you'll just drop that into chat, we'll collect those at a time when there's sort of a break in the action, but we will make some time for questions later on. And in the meantime, I want to give Patrick as much time as possible. So I'm going to get out of the way. And with no further ado, let me hand things off to you. Patrick, it's all you.
yeah. I guess I'll probably just go ahead and just jump right into sharing my screen with my money map and kind of giving a high level overview.
Amazing.
Um, it's let's see, hit the share button. Um, there is technically a lot going on here. But what I really enjoy about Sequence, and I'll just say this out the gate, that this has helped my wife and I, even as complex as this looks, it has helped my wife and I get on the same page financially, uh, probably better than any other tool. Like we tried doing budgets, we tried doing all kinds of other things. We still budget, but it looks different now thanks to Sequence. And so, what I like to do is I'll probably start from the top left because that's where all of the income sources are. Um, well, most of the income sources. That's where money flows in for the most part. But I also have it kind of in this square shape because I like to see everything all at once. I can zoom in easily on different areas, but one of the things I love about the money map is kind of being able to zoom out and see everything all at once. But what I've got set up in the top left is let's see if I can two finger zoom. There we go. Yeah. So I'm a software consultant. So I'm a W-2 employee. So I have it's kind of here in the middle. It's called Patrick's Paycheck. But all of the rest of these, some of the purple ones are workarounds for PayPal because I was having issues with some PayPal connections in the past. But basically, my wife and I, my wife has a photography business. She also did Rover for a little while, and then I also did some stuff on the side with software. So I've got basically categorizing anywhere income is coming in. I've tried to categorize that with an income source, or if I have to with a pod with PayPal and things like that. And then we also have this. I put the Venmo pod over here because money goes in and out, and like that one I don't automate. It's hey, we need to like send money to Venmo to pay somebody, so that's just kind of it's just there. Um, but going from when money comes in, typically on my paycheck, I'm gonna I can't remember their real name, but I think it's Skyfox in a money map spotlight a while ago talked about having some like sweep pods that I very quickly started adding some of those into my money map after I learned that. That was brilliant. So I don't know if Skyfox is on. But basically, whenever I get paid, if there's anything that is below my expected paycheck, I have an unknown income holding pod where I need to figure out where that money came from. And then I have a reimbursements because my company, whenever we do, because I'm remote, whenever we do meetings, company meetings and things like that, we get to comp our lunch. So I have a reimbursements pod where anything above my paycheck goes into the reimbursements pod. And that's been super helpful to be able to like figure out where to map that. That's something that's a little bit manual, but it's been super helpful to make basically my month to month, week to week flow is based off of the expected income using my regular income sweep pod that so again, shout out to I think it was Skyfox. Am I getting that name correct, Kevin?
Yeah, it's
I don't
Nick. But yeah,
Nick.
yeah, it's great. And I just reminded everybody, for anybody who's watching the stream, if you make your way to the Discord community, we do save all of these money map spotlights in the event recording section where you can go back and watch them. Anyway, great call out, Patrick.
Yeah, no, thank you. Yeah, that's the other thing I really love about Sequence is not only the product but the community. Everyone's just trying to help everybody, and it's great. And so with the sweep on the regular income, one of the cool things that I like to break down my budget into what am I like to give, I like to save, and I like to spend. I like to spend mostly, but I think I'm trying to adhere to, I think it's the 10-10-80 rule, where basically you save 10, you give 10, and then you live off of 80. And so at my church, I basically just the first 10% just goes straight into I call it tithe bucket, but anytime I make any income, 10% of it just goes into this bucket no matter what. And then I just give that to the church. That's my form of giving. And then I have a couple of other pods for different uses whenever we want to manually put more money in, we do something like that. Our church is getting a building, so we have a building fund that we put in there occasionally too. And then we also have this taxes pod where anytime we make income that is not on my W-2, it goes through this irregular income pod. So I like to use pods as kind of like almost like a, what's the word? I don't want to say multiplexer. That's more of a technical term, but basically a junction for if there's a lot of like things. So like Rover income is, what is it? Kind of like a 1099 income for lack of a better term. Anything that is not a W-2 income goes into the irregular income, and then it splits automatically 10% to giving. I think I have it at 15% goes into, oh, it doesn't show the rules in incognito mode, but basically 10% goes to giving, 15 to taxes, and then the rest goes to what I'm calling my sweep goals pod, or it's a goals pod. And so kind of after getting the income, I'm going to jump through where the income goes. It's starting with savings and goals. So after I get paid or money goes in from the irregular income, we have the savings and goals sweep pods. So the savings one is sinking funds, and then also like we have a sinking fund for pets. We have one dog that eats about half a bag of dog food a month. So and then needs to be groomed. It's a poodle, so it needs to be groomed like once every quarter, or she'll get matted, and then it'll cost even more. Um, and then for Christmas, we have the Christmas pod. We actually have a top up rule on that one to save up to a specific goal number for December. So we give you a little insight into why that one's really important to me, not just because it's Christmas and it's my favorite, but also my birthday is in December. My wife's birthday is in December. Our firstborn's birthday is in December. our youngest is in May. But the three of us that are born in December, this pod it was a lifesaver last year, and it's going to be a lifesaver this year because we're basically setting aside money, and like we only under some random emergency with like numbers not lining up do we ever touch the pod. So it's really cool to have the ability in sequence to just go and spin up pods for different targeted savings goals. And so Christmas is one of them. Pets is one of them. Costco renewal, that one bit us in the butt like probably 2 or 3 times the last couple of years, especially when you have kids and you're busy and forget that you have a yearly subscription to Costco that you need because you need like 3 gallons of milk every 2 weeks. But yeah, so basically all of our sinking funds. We also have like a toiletries one where basically it's kind of our catch-all for like if it's not food that we eat at the grocery store, it's a toiletry. And then we have our goals pod that transfers money into. They're kind of sinking funds, but they're also um, more targeted towards like things that we want to do. So we have a travel fund, and that's for like we want to go on trips. Like we like to go to the beach like twice a year, usually in the off season. So like right before summer and right after summer. So we've got a travel pod, and then automotive saved our butt. I'm going to probably say saved our butts probably a few more times today, but basically it's helped us to have this automotive sinking fund that we automatically just put money in and don't really look at it, don't think about it until something happens. Recently, I had to replace the entire front end suspension on our minivan. I did it myself, and it saved us like thousands of dollars. So because we had saved up a couple $100, I got tools that I needed. I was able to get the parts, and I don't know. I'm just going to be raving all over Sequence for all of the rules and the ability to automate all of these things that have just literally saved us. Um, so that's kind of our savings and goals. I do have M1 connected. We're currently doing the Dave Ramsey, uh, I guess, baby steps. And so we're currently still in the debt payoff baby steps, which you could probably tell if you're familiar with the yellow pods over on the right. I'm going to get to those here in a second. But I was playing around with the M1 integration, and that was pretty cool. I can't wait to use that more when we get done with baby step two for the steps. And then also, I forgot, we have our SoFi is one of our long-term savings accounts. That's where our emergency fund is. And so in our goals, I have a top up that basically, if anyone's familiar with Dave Ramsey, it's the $1,000 emergency fund while you're paying off debt. So this is a top up rule that is taking it up to 1,000 if it's not already at 1,000. So that's what that rule is here. Um, yeah. So before I jump into other stuff, I have a bunch of other checking accounts that are down here that are the reason I have a bunch of these that are not connected to any rules is because I'm using, I think it's the business tier because my wife has the photography business, but also it adds more capabilities. But I'm able to use an income source whenever I transfer from it I can flag it as a direct deposit, which is really cool if you get sign up bonuses with different like credit unions or banks that say, hey, deposit X amount of dollars within X amount of days or Y amount of days, and then we'll give you Z amount of dollars for free, basically. And so almost all of these, I used Sequence to direct deposit in like money to pay my mortgage or something, and that counted as a direct deposit towards the goal. And then I got free money for doing that. So that was a really cool, like, I guess, byproduct of Sequence. I don't know if Sequence was necessarily intended for that, but that was super helpful to get a few extra bucks from being able to set up a rule um, to do a direct deposit. Varo Bank was the most recent one I did. I think there's somebody shared in our Discord community a while back. There's a YouTube and website to go to get more info on those. And I thought that was really cool. So yeah, just shout out to, I can't remember, that might have been Nick as well, if I'm thinking about it. So all right. I'm gonna move up to what I call the sweep expenses pod. This is where what I was talking about earlier, the 10-10-80, this is where the 80 comes into play. That comes down into this pod, and then it breaks out into, I have bills that are not on credit cards that are up here in the top right. Basically our energy bill, our like electricity, gas, our internet. I just recently signed up for Planet Fitness last month, so they require a bank account rather than a debit card. And then I also recently signed up for life insurance, which was a big thing for us. So like making pods for all of these things that need a routing number and an account number, and then having rules set based on how much they cost per month. And then I get paid twice a month, so just dividing that by two, and then that goes and tops it up to the amount that is expected for that particular bill, which is also cool. I can't remember who brought that up, but having a pod for individual bills or accounts makes it so that if they ever get compromised, I can just close it and then make a new one, which is also super awesome. Other bills that are not on credit card would be mortgage. So I'm currently working on American Express had a bonus where if you deposit two times of at least $1,000 with direct deposit, they'll give you like 200 or something. I don't remember exactly. So I made it so that my mortgage is coming out of my American Express checking account that I just opened for that bonus. And then I have this mortgage router because basically, if I'm going to do these deposit bonuses, I have this mortgage router to transfer money to then send it off to the direct deposit, and then the direct deposit will do the actual flagging as a direct deposit. I'm trying to remember why I did the mortgage router. I think I overcomplicated it because I wanted to name the pathway that it was going. So like I have a pod kind of as a label, but then this is direct depositing my amount for my mortgage again twice a month, which my mortgage divided by two is around 1,000. So that makes it so that I'll get that bonus, and then I'll switch it over to another account. Which, if you notice right above it, I've actually got um, the push in a what I call a push pod, which is the one with I think it's using either spin wheel or the other one. Is it method? I don't remember, but it's using the bill pay built into sequence to send the money automatically. And then I have a pod that I think the terminology, if I remember correctly from Nick, is actually pull and not pod, but I put the word pod in front of it. But this one is one where I can put money in the pod and then have my mortgage come from it. And then if it wasn't in incognito mode, it would show the balance on both of these. So that's pretty cool. So those are all the bills that are not on credit cards. And so I have the rules again, just populates, every time I get paid, half of the bill goes into those accounts. And then I have anything that is unexpected over the amount that I expect to go to those drops down to this debt pay down holding that I will jump to that here in a second because it's got a few ways to get there. If you notice, there's this one line coming over from goals. Basically, anything that is more than I expect goes over to the debt pay down because my priority right now is paying down debt. Like I want to have an emergency fund. I want to save up for targeted things. But after that, my priority is to pay down debt as fast as possible. So that's why I have this down here. And then as part of my expenses, we have what I call weekly expenses. I grouped this kind of funny looking, probably. Somebody might call it funny looking, but this is the middle of my screen, and this is the most uh, observed pods in my entire map because my pocket money, my wife's pocket money, money for kids, groceries, eating out, coffee shops, and then miscellaneous, like all was that seven? All seven of these pods are the ones that are like actively used with the virtual debit cards, which are awesome, by the way. I actually, real quick, want to show. I know that some people have probably uh, set up their cards in Apple Pay, and if you notice, they all look the same. They just have different numbers. But I think if can y'all still see my screen?
Yep.
What do you see the shortcuts?
Yep.
Yeah. So I have at least on an iPhone. I don't know about Android. Was able to set up a shortcut for each of the cards that I use regular. Christmas card, don't use it regularly. I use it about once a year. Well, probably four times a year now. Um, but that is these are all shortcuts that just open up the wallet app to that card, and then if you double tap action button. I don't know what Apple calls it now. I have an iPhone 12, but the little side button, if you double tap it while the card is open, then it'll use that one for tap to pay whenever you're going to pay at the counter. So this was a really cool workaround that I found to be able to differentiate which card is which, because I know that I think all of them are all like a black card that says sequence and then it has a number. So instead of memorizing numbers, I made it easier. Also out of necessity, so my wife could do it. I did it on my wife's phone so that she could use it effectively. Um, yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of blowing through it. I don't know if you want me to take a breath and if there was any questions or anything, but
I don't have any. I don't want. We're not seeing any questions that have come into this to the chat just yet. I did shout out Nick and showed where you can find his stuff in event recordings. So if anybody wants to go back and take a look at that, I know for a fact that we have some people in this room who are great at coming up with questions, but I will not put them on the spot just yet. So think about it, guys, and if you got a question for Patrick, that's what we're here for. So anyway, I think you're good to keep going, Patrick.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so that kind of covers the like normal expenses that we would use a card for, like eating out and all that. And then kind of moving over into the debt side. The debt side, I feel I've I've tried a bunch of different things, and I feel like I've got it to something that I feel is for me, for my purposes, has been pretty manageable and pretty much set it and forget it. But I still like to watch it because I like to see debt go away and money to increase. But basically, I've got these pods for doing the monthly payments. I've disconnected this one up here that's called the Costco Visa because I'm doing probably a controversial type of financing is a thing called velocity banking. I don't necessarily believe in the velocity banking methodology as a whole, but it does technically work in the way that I'm doing our finances right now. Uh, Basically, we're doing debt snowball on all of our cards, and then I've got three cards that I use specifically for bills that accept credit card, and then also for gas. So I use the Costco Visa card for gas because I think they recently upgraded it to like 5% cash back on gas, and that has been uh, great for us because we use a lot of gas. I drive a Toyota Tundra, a 2004 Tundra, so it eats even more gas. But
Hey,
what it's done, oh yeah,
sorry, Patrick. I was just going to say we do have a question now. Tara from the customer service team is sitting in, so she's answered this in chat, but I am going to share it out loud just for anybody who's not in the chat, who is watching the replay, or who isn't in the room to ask her and see the answer in real time. But Abhinav asked, since there are so many pods, how does the tracking and reporting work? I want to see the monthly expenses, patterns, returns, etc. And Tara responded to him that you can export all transactions via CSV and filter. So we do have that functionality. If there's anything that you want to add, Patrick, specific to the way that you set up your money map in response to Abhinav's question, anything that you want to share?
um, not exactly. I haven't had to pull statements for any particular reason just yet, but I do
Okay.
know about that feature.
Yep.
So I've done that probably once or twice just to test it out because I was curious, but I have not needed to pull statements yet.
Okay, and then sorry, and then there's one follow up which is sort of really not necessarily for you, but Abhinav also asked, are there any guidelines on how many pods to create and how to create the flows? There are some, like I do think that this kind of there are resources, Abhinav, and we'll talk more about those here in just a little bit. But I do think that this touches on the edges of something that I thought about, which is like anytime that we have an expert user on, and you guys have really innate, complex, like borderline intimidating at first glance money maps. Like when you were starting from scratch, how did you start to think about all of this in a way that if I'm starting my money map or I'm not as deeply rooted as you are, the complexities of how you set this up. Like what would you at what would be your simple advice?
My simple advice really is just getting the basics under your belt. And when I say basics, is having an income source where you have money coming in. And then honestly, I feel like I can't explain it any better than is it Nick? No, yeah, is it Nick that does the videos on YouTube?
Well, yeah,
The
different Nick, but yes. Yeah,
yeah,
those are great.
uh,
Those are great.
yeah. Because honestly, when I first started using Sequence, the first thing that caught my eye before jumping in was I saw a video because I had wanted to automate my finances, and I saw a video literally going through. I think it was the Dave Ramsey baby steps was like an example video, and then there was profit first, and so I kind of just jumped in and was like, "What is this thing?" Made a income source. There's also the playground too. So like, if you're not quite ready to invest all in, is to like play with the playground. I played with the playground for probably a good couple of days, and then really just having some money go in, test the waters. Like I'm fully confident in Sequence, so like I'm pretty much invested in. I use it for pretty much all of my financing. I just use external accounts for different reasons, like a high yield savings for long term savings or investing and stuff. But whatever Sequence comes out with, I like to use it because I've been sold. Um, but just kind of almost like let the water trickle a little bit, make sure it does what you need it to do, which I'm sure it will. Um, but having an income source and at least a couple of pods to just try out, and then let your creativity run wild. And that's where the playground I think is super helpful because then you can plan out things. But yeah, like just one of each kind of pod. Maybe if you have some debt, maybe set up a one of the uh, liability account pods, like the yellow ones that I have on here, and just like try it out. It doesn't have to be complicated. Um,
Awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna add, yeah, those are great questions and comments, Abhinav. Thank you for those. Tara also dropped into chat that if you go to YouTube and go to youtube.com slash at get sequence, that'll pull up all of the sequence videos that Nick Sisler from our team puts together. And Nick is a former financial coach, and those are great. They're a great watch. Anyway, sorry, Patrick, I sidebarred us. You want to
Oh, you're
dive
good.
back into it? There's a lot of good stuff here.
Yeah. So kind of getting back into the debt pay down where like right now I'm wanting to pay off debt is my highest priority. After I think Dave Ramsey calls it the four walls, whatever your methodology is, after, you've got your roof, you've got your food, you've got your transportation, and I think the other one was it insurance? I don't know. I don't remember all of the the words, but basically, once I've got all of the needs met, then it's debt, and then after that, it's the wants. And so here, this debt pay down holding, I've got these different pathways that if there's more than I expect for some reason in the flow, it goes to this debt pay down holding push. Above the pull will go and do all of the minimums. So all of my minimum payments are all covered by just the normal flow of money. But the debt pay down holding push pod basically does the snowball method doing the push. So basically, if I have any extra money left over from all of my savings goals and my needs being covered, all of the extra money after that on top of it goes into here and then will disperse to whatever the lowest um, balance is to try to help pay it off faster. And then the ones that have bills on them with a credit card, those ones are just because being able to get points, and then also it. I don't know. We're trying out velocity banking on three cards for lack of a better reasoning. It just seems to be still bringing the debt down, but we also get the benefits of the points and getting to go on what I like to call free date nights every once in a while. Go to watch a movie, go grab a burger or something, which is pretty cool. But yeah, Sequence basically allows me to automate the bulk of all of this I did manually for a while with a Google spreadsheet and trying to budget and all this stuff with like I used YNAB, nothing against YNAB, but like I used YNAB, I tried using a spreadsheet, I tried doing all these different budgeting tools. but we got to this point where we just need buckets. And then if we like, it's basically the virtual envelope system is how I kind of see it with our expenses. And so now that we have buckets, it's like, how much do we want to put in the buckets? And then if anything changes, we just move money from a bucket. And it's super easy. My wife is able to log into Sequence and move money if she needs to. She understands the flow, and it's been really great. But yeah, so but with the debt stuff, it's been just really cool to like, occasionally check and be like, oh, my debt's lower. Cool, it's getting lower. And then it starts getting lower a little bit faster. I'm looking forward to paying off one of these here in the next couple of months and then see it go even faster. But I don't know if I don't think I have anything else unless anybody had questions on I have a manual direct deposit pod for whenever I find a good um sign up bonus, and then I'll just like the Varo Bank one right here. I used to have this one pointing to that, and I would just transfer money and then do a direct deposit so that I could get the bonus. It's pretty cool.
Amazing. Okay, so Cave does have a question. Cave, do you want to come off mute and ask it that way?
Yeah. Could you slide up for a moment because you had Patrick, you had a node that was called a pod that was called anomalous pay or something like that, or unknown income holding. And I was
Yeah.
wondering, it looks like there's a rule going into it, but there's nothing coming out of it. Is that because when you have that, you decide where you want to put those funds and manually do a transfer, or?
Yeah. So basically, if I get something that I'm not expecting, there's a chance that maybe like there was something wrong with payroll, or maybe somehow I got money that I shouldn't have. And so I just don't want to automate something that I don't know where it came from. Or maybe I know where it came from before it gets here, but I don't have a plan for it yet or something. For me, it's just a sanity check, catch all of here's something I didn't expect to happen. Gives me time to think, gives me time to react. I think I also got this idea from Nick's video.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
All right. Other questions for Patrick? And you guys can do like Cave did, and if you've got a question you want and it's easier for you to ask it out loud, you're welcome to do that. You can also drop it into chat. I think one of the things that I'm taking away here, Patrick, is from the many shout outs to our guy Nick Adams from the community, like the thing about having these sort of separate siloed sinking funds and then being prepared not only to like get out in front of things that you're trying to save for, but also like having some protection for when things go weird in the marketplace or if something gets hacked or like whatever. Being able to separate those things out seems like it's not really a set it and forget it situation, but there is hopefully some peace of mind that comes with not feeling as vulnerable in those situations.
Yeah. I definitely have had more peace about our finances whenever starting to use Sequence to handle basically it's the engine of our finances somewhat, other than like I think most people would say the engine is your income, but like as far as the engine is running, but it needs all the other like what is it, the serpentine belt? I have replaced the serpentine belt recently. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like it makes all the things work together, and it's really good.
I appreciate that in this session, I'm learning not only a lot about your money map, but also a little bit about car repair, which I could stand to better understand. Cool. So what's next? What are you excited about in terms of where you're going with this? And like, let's assume that you get some of your things paid off, or you're prepped on your. Are you topping off your emergency fund, or is that something that you get to a certain level through? I don't know the Ramsey method inside and out. So it's like, is that a hard 1K and then you leave it, or is it just something that you continue to contribute a little bit to over time?
Yeah, so we've kind of got two emergency funds right now, but one of them is distinctly because I have an aging grandmother that she's doing okay, but she's gotten to a point where we want to have like an extra like 1,000 kind of set aside for like if there's an emergency trip that we have to make.
Yeah.
And so the Dave Ramsey method is having 1,000 and then jumping at debt with so much intensity that like most people that follow it to a T get out of debt in like 18 to 24 months. And so the idea is that the emergency fund, the 1,000 one, is not to really make you feel safe. It's just to protect you from, just like you get a
Life.
flat tire or yeah. It's to make it so that emergencies are more of an inconvenience rather than true emergencies. But yeah, but I eventually plan to top those off with after paying off the debt. Definitely want to go 3 to 6 months and beyond. I'm really looking forward to paying off our lowest debt right now is a credit card that let's just say I made some stupid mistakes with credit cards a few years ago, and I just can't wait to be done paying for those mistakes.
I believe it. Well,
Yeah.
and you may have touched on this a little bit, but I don't think we've spent as much time talking about this as we have some of your personal finances, given the fact that um, you do, that there's some flexibility in your work. Like, what have you found with regard to your, like, just untangling your professional life and being able to manage that a little bit? Can you speak to that a little bit more?
When you say untangling my professional life, are you talking about
Well,
like
I just mean so how many roles do you take on at once? Is most of the work that you're doing so I'm sorry, I'll give you a little bit of perspective, which is that my wife's a graphic designer. She's got, I don't know, a half dozen clients at any given time. And so sometimes, and it's one of those things where it's like, sometimes it's feast or famine. So you feel like you have to take on as many of them as you can, even when you're busy. I know with development work, sometimes that may be the case and sometimes that may not be the case. It really probably depends on your client load. So that's really what I'm asking is like, what is your client load? And I know that you're factoring in like your income coming in and what happens to it once it gets here. But like, has that made any of that any easier, or am I misreading? Like, do you have one primary thing and right now, and that's really so it's not that hard?
yeah, no, I definitely am very fortunate. The consulting company that I work for is we only do like per developer, we only do one client at a time. Um, but I do outside of development work, I also do sometimes I give presentations or talks and things. Like I'm going to be giving a talk at a conference next week up in Austin. Uh, so shout out DevOps Days Austin if anybody
Ah, there you
happens
go.
to. So I'll be giving a short talk there. So like I've been spending some time working on presentations, and so for me, balancing that is mostly if it's something that is not development work for the client. Usually the clients that I work with and the company that I work for works with are usually pretty good about letting us be able to have some time that we don't bill them. We bill like I bill my company to like work on something that's going to move the needle forward for the company or for the community and things like that. So I guess for me, balancing, I schedule it so I don't forget it and so that it happens. But also, I am fortunate to work for a place where I only really have one client at a time.
Oh, that's great. That's living the dream right there. Where can people find you, Patrick, if they have other questions that they don't feel like asking in a public forum?
Yeah, I don't have social media except LinkedIn. So if you want, it's Patrick Robinson Dev. So it's my first name, last name, and Dev is my like I guess URL on LinkedIn. But I'm on LinkedIn if people want to connect and ask questions, or I mean, I generally like to help people, so uh, happy to connect
Yeah,
with anybody.
he's been great, and you can also find him sometimes in the Discord community, and so then you've been great about that. Cave gave you a shout out for paying down debt, which is huge. So kudos on that. Patrick, thank you so much, man. This was great. I hope you had as much fun as I did. And it's always like so. I learned so my brain is going to blow out at the top of my head. This is really fantastic information and some stuff that I want to start to apply right away. If any of you guys have other questions for Patrick or for us, then I hope that you'll run us down, and then we'll schedule another Money Map Spotlight one of these days. But in the meantime, Patrick, thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you.
All right, guys. It is Friday afternoon or more late morning if you're on the West Coast. So I want to give you guys your day back. Thank you for spending a little bit of time with us. And thank you again, Patrick. I hope you guys have a brilliant weekend, and we'll look forward to seeing all the goals you crush.